Another important issue which most of the authors do not consider to be a case of plagiarism is text recycling, or in common parlance we call it self plagiarism. This is not a kind of duplicate publication or a redundant publication. The case of text recycling or self plagiarism is a lesser offense, and the COP guidelines have been instrumental in providing a line of action. When an author uses his or her own previously published article in a different manuscript without attribution, then it may be a case of text recycling. Attribution is to provide proper citation to the original work, and not, in a way, not writing the same things again. That means same things which are reported in two different articles, that should not be done, even if it is small in size and width. The author should be aware of what and how much of the previous published text could be used in their prospective works. Additionally, where in the article the text recycling is done should be taken into consideration. That means where in the article, for example in the literature review section or in the introduction section, what is the criteria for determining and what is the amount of offense that the author is committing by recycling the text. Generally, scholars recycle their dissertations into papers to be submitted to journals. Okay, this practice cannot be categorized as text recycling or self-plagiarism. If the dissertation itself is unpublished, that means it has not been even in the repository. If it's not published, not in the repository, as well as there is no so basically it can be attributed as an unpublished document, so that is fine. In cases where the entire dissertation has been published as a book or a research project, it would be wise to provide attribution. That means you should provide citation to the original work in successive publication. It would be great to acknowledge that the present article that has been written draws from the research which has been conducted before and which has been published or not published as per the dissertation. So it's a part of a larger study, and this is the dissertation from which I have taken this work. This should be acknowledged, and wherever possible in text it should be also attributed or cited. So it will take care of the situation, as we have previously seen that whenever you are writing an article, it's an implicit contract between the author and the audience. So the audience should know that this is the part of a larger study which has now been cut short, and different aspects have been properly disseminated. So that should not be shown that the study in a whole is a new study, or the data generated from it is a new data. So that has to be taken care of, and therefore the issues like this can crop up. Additionally, the author should also look out for any copyright infringement. For example, the dissertation has been published by a publisher, then proper information should be provided and permission should be taken from the publisher, and what are the specific copyright rules regarding that need to be understood well before the text recycling is done. That means taking a paragraph or something from already published material. It does not matter even if that paragraph has been written by you. So it's important to give attribution. Also, it is important to take copyright permissions from the original copyright owner of it. When one gives an article for publication, the agreement has to be properly looked into, and if the copyright agreement says that you are transferring the copyright as an author to the publisher, then proper permission then again needs to be taken from the owner of the copyright. Okay. Additionally, the author should be wary of should be worried about the significant overlap of one's own published text used in a prospective work. In practice, an insignificant overlap with attribution is the way out for using one's own published work. So you do not write everything from the previously published work and put it as a new information. That is wrong. So only some excerpts can be taken from previously published work, and that too with attribution, with the citation. That means you are writing that yes, I have written this work before and I'm taking it from there, because that context needs to be understood well. The author should also note that excessive verbatim, that is line by line copying of information of previously published articles, become a case of self-plagiarism with or without citation. All right. So significant overlap is again a judgment call for the editor. If we take the perspective from the editor's point of view, if we take it where the article has been submitted, because the editor then looks into the similarity report of the article and tries to understand whether this is a significant overlap. That means the work has been significantly drawn from the previous published work of the author. This significant overlap becomes serious depending upon where the recycled text has been used, as I said, which part of the article has used most of this overlap. So for instance, text recycling in introduction section or even the method section may be not avoidable at all. So more so if the presented paper is one of the several papers on the topic. So it is even advisable in some cases to write down some parts which are common for the introduction and method section, and nothing wrong is taken out of it. However, it is less desirable in discussion section or during hypothesis construction, even if the resource has been cited well, because in the discussion section we generally talk about particulars of the current study, and not we cannot draw something exorbitant from the previously published study. Even the hypothesis needs to be very different from what has been previously constructed. Okay, and text recycling is not at all acceptable in the results section, where you are actually putting the results of the data analysis. This will lead to a more serious problem of redundant or duplicate publication, which I'll be talking in the next presentation. So if the authors wish to use the same data as an extension of previously published study, there should be a mention and a proper justification of the same in text with citation. Similarly, text recycling is not acceptable for conclusion or when one is reproducing the tables or figures. So that has to be kept in mind.